Hi, it's Chris Titley here as part of the Scoreboard podcast. I'm joined by Marcus Bean. Marcus, thank you so much for coming in today to have a chat.
Thank you so much for having me.
Marcus, I'm going to start with 2024 for you. We're sitting here on the 7th of Feb, 2025. 2024, how was 2024 for you?
Fantastic year. What can I say? Debuting in the Big Bash first year, and also lucky enough to be a part of a winning group at the Hurricanes. It was absolutely unreal. I think for me, looking even the year prior to that and going into 2024, there was doubts and concerns over whether or not my body was going to be able to hold up and whether or not I was going to get that opportunity. But I think when I got the call and when I knew I was going to be a part of the squad, I was definitely ready to go.
And Marcus, I want to talk about that call, and leading up to that call, you would have been playing some grade cricket, and I believe it was James Hopes, who's the assistant of the Hurricanes, that sort of said you can come in as a fill-in player. Can you talk about that moment, maybe that phone call? Was it from James or from someone else?
Yeah, so we were playing in the KFC T20 Max up here in Brisbane, and James was the coach for our team. And probably in the second game, he's just pulled me to the side and let me know that if I stay fit, stay healthy, that I was going to get a shot and he was going to fly me down to Tasmania just to have a workout with the team. And from that point, I sort of knew that there was definitely going to be a chance. So, yeah, I was pretty nervous at first. Definitely a mixture of emotions. I think my dad was very excited to hear the news. But it sort of really didn't become real until I hopped on that flight down to Hobart and then shook hands with Nathan Ellis, the captain, and it was sort of on from there.
Wow. And then your debut game at the Gabba against the Brisbane Heat, being from Brisbane, originally playing cricket in Brisbane, debuting at the Gabba, firstly, and secondly, playing against Brisbane Heat. How did that feel?
It was like a fairy tale, a dream come true. I've been going to the Gabba since as long as I could remember. I remember my first game of watching Australia versus India, and I was about 4 or 5 years old, and just the atmosphere, I just knew it was something that I wanted to do. Seeing people like Mitchell Johnson, Steeman, it was just something special. And I knew if I kept working hard, and I had a good support group around me, I knew I was going to be able to get there. So when it was my turn, and I looked around and I saw about 40,000 people in there, I was pretty stoked, but pretty nervous at first. I think it showed off my first ball.
Yeah, it was a wide, quite a wide. Sort of reminded me a little of Stephen Harmison back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But the second ball didn't, and you got your mate out.
I did, and that really seemed to shake off the nerves a little bit. And I think from that point, it sort of felt like I belonged when I knew I could get people out at the highest level. It was best day of my life. Like, from being that kid in the crowd to being out there playing in front of my family, I had about 50 people there, and seeing them after the game, seeing them all crying, getting around me, it was truly special. What a moment.
And Marcus, that love for the game of cricket and the love for sport in general, going back to your youth, do you want to talk about your youth and your relationship with sport?
Yeah, definitely. Sport's a huge part of my family. I think coming from a very sporty background, my dad played professional football in England for a period of time, and he was a fantastic footballer. So when I grew up, I have an older brother, Samuel, and he loves it as well. He was really into his football growing up, and from when I was a kid, as soon as I could walk, I had a football on my feet. We were playing in the park, playing organised or social sport. And it was, football and then cricket at a very early age as well. So my dad was coaching my brother's Super 8s cricket team, and they were a man short at South Cricket Club. And I've been pulled into the game in my nappy. And I think I remember taking a wicket, as my mum tells me. I took a wicket in the second over off may have been a chuck, but
yep. I don't think they would have penalised a 3-year-old. Yeah,
no, I don't think they did. But cricket was in my life from a very early age. Sport, I just love it.
And how do you go against your older brother in the backyard early on, mate? Were you you sort of got the upper leg on that one, or was it your brother was sort of always dominating?
He definitely had me early on. I don't think he'd like to agree, but I've definitely got him now. He's still definitely got me on the football pitch, though. That's for sure.
Right, yeah. And in the sort of the Christmas break, do you get the tennis ball out, tape it up, and go off the long run to him?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely. I'll let him know.
And then playing sport, playing football and playing cricket as a junior. Did you have any aspirations, I suppose, to become a professional athlete?
I think it was actually football first. Obviously, having a father who played at the highest level, he definitely thought I had the talent and I had the skill set. So I was like really invested in football at an early age. I played the National Premier League at 12. I was in and around the state setup, and then I grew like Bambi, and suddenly I couldn't keep my legs underneath my feet.
When did that growth spurt happen?
I was always a tall kid, but I really started to grow at like 12, 11, and that's when I started to become quite long and dangly. Yeah.
How did you go with the other kids then? Like, do you think, oh, actually, I'm reasonably tall here. This would be a little bit easier to do things potentially in sport?
It was. I think I knew I was tall when I was in grade 6. Not only was I taller than my teacher, but we had a buddy class, and I don't know if you remember those little chairs that preps sit in, but my knees were over the table.
Right.
And I'm looking around, kids are sitting there okay, and I'm like,
I do remember, and you put the chair case on the back of it, and everyone sort of, that's their big thing for the year and whatnot on the desk. And
so I decided to scrap the chair and just stand up in that class for the rest of the year.
How do you, I mean, I want to hone on this because you walk into a room and like, holy wow, like you're tall, but how do you cope with it?
A lot of physio.
Yep.
But no, my body's actually pretty good. I think being tall from such a young age, and I've always been more keen on keeping my body fit, and I know how much it takes. Seeing people in similar areas to me struggle with back pain, struggle with their legs, struggle with their knees. So I've always been keen to get on top of it early. So I've actually been quite good so far in my career, staying away from injuries. Never really had too many issues with my back, never had any stress fractures. But yeah, it is a challenge. You do have to constantly be aware of your posture, aware of roofs, low ceilings.
Yep.
So
and transport.
Yeah, transport's a big issue. Definitely flights. It was a bit of a struggle this year in the Big Bash, especially when you can't get the exit row seats. You find yourself crammed next to your teammates, and I feel bad for them because I'm taking half their room.
And then you're calling you straight to the physio as you get off, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit cramped up. So you're sitting here at 210 centimetres, roughly?
Yep.
Although maybe a little bit more?
Maybe. We'll see. I might have to get the tape.
And what's that in?
Again.
That's 6?
That is 6'11 3/4.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're pressing. So
Yeah.
we could do a little test here after and maybe you'd hit the 7 foot. So
yeah.
7 foot left arm fast bowler charging in. One of the tallest players in Australia. I'd say the tallest player in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
When did you hit your sort of peak in height, and was there other options like potentially basketball along the way as well?
I probably peaked first year out of school, but I was touching 6'11 in year 12. I found basketball quite late. My dad's English. He has no idea what basketball is.
It's a football all the way.
It's a foreign sport. He's not too much of a fan of American sports. So,
yeah.
But I found it in grade 10. And I fell in love with it. I still love and adore basketball. I watch it pretty much every day.
You're keeping an eye on this trade window, mate, in the NBA. It's just non-stop. There's like 100 trades that have gone on.
100 trades going on.
What about the Luka trade? What are your thoughts?
Oh, we could go on this all day.
Oh, that's all right. I'm happy. It's a sporting podcast.
I think it is quite possibly the most ridiculous trade in history. I think to have a guy like Luka Doncic who got you to the finals and then trade away a 25-year-old prodigy in the prime of his career because apparently he drinks too much.
Yes, on the Instagram clip, the manager took the beer away after they won the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And maybe doubts around his calf, potentially, or are we not hearing the full story?
Potentially, I think, mismanagement of weight a little bit, but you have people like Zion Williamson who's
not playing back-to-backs as frequently.
Can't play back-to-backs, and the Pelicans are looking to invest in him over the next at least 4-year period.
Yep.
So I think the NBA does strange things. I think I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a Warriors fan. So
Yeah, well, you picked up
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah. Sad to see Andrew Wiggins go. I
Yep.
thought he was a really good asset to the team. But we're going to add that fire with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Um,
Playoff shot this year. A bit too late, you reckon?
bit too late, but I think I'm going to enjoy all the people starting to throw shade at Steph Curry because after everyone threw shade at him the year after we won a championship.
Yeah, that's right. Beat Boston
Mm-hmm.
and gave them a bit of motivation for their title.
Yeah.
So Warriors. Why the Warriors?
Steph Curry.
Yep.
Yeah, I found when I first joined basketball, it was the flash, that 2015, 2016, taking out OKC, taking out LeBron. And yeah, that's when I fell in love with it. And then obviously KD joined us the year after, and he was sort of the player that I sort of built my game around.
Yep. Similar stature, similar height.
Similar stature. Yeah, his height is he's got about 10 different heights on Google when you search him up.
Maybe 6'10", 11, you reckon?
Yeah, I've seen photos of him next to Giannis, who's listed at 7'1", and he's taller than him.
Right. Okay.
But then he's listed. I think his official height's 6'9".
Yep.
So
and he got the Finals MVP. I think it was 16 or 17. I remember, and they won.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
But yeah, no, basketball's awesome. I picked it up a bit harder in year 12. Trialed out for the Queensland team first year trialing and made the reserves, which was pretty special. And then I was lucky enough to fly down to Canberra and try out for the NBA Academy, which was a big shock because I'd only been playing seriously for about 8 months. And I got pretty close to making it. There was some real talent in there. Player by the name of Dyson Daniels is now leading. I think he's still leading the NBA in steals this season.
Yep, he's having his breakout year, being off the bench, and now he's starting at Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. And also got to play alongside Rocco Zikarsky, who's
the Bullets and probably a draft prospect, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. He's a big fella.
Yeah.
And I think that was also a period in my basketball career when I looked and I went, there's always someone taller, isn't there? There is always someone
maybe
taller.
in fast ball, there's always someone faster or there's always someone that swings it a bit more, etc. But just on that topic then, coming into professional sport, what makes Marcus Bean tick and getting those spots and getting that selection more than someone else? What do you think it is?
I think for me, it's definitely a big self-belief. I'm really into, if I believe and I know that I can and I push it, I think I've always got a spot and an opportunity there. I've got a really good group around me. Obviously having James Hopes down at the Hurricanes is a real asset for me. He will go to the moon and back vouching for me. And
And let's just touch on that support crew, some of your mates and some of your friends and family that have backed you to pursue your dream. And there's obviously a number of sacrifices and you might miss 21st or you might miss various things for sport. Can you talk about the importance of that support crew?
Yeah, it's massive. I think getting into the Big Bash this first year, it was a real eye-opener, and seeing teammates being away from their families for months on end, it's definitely huge. So having people in the cricket community, but also family who are giving you FaceTime calls, letting you know that they're watching the game. It's smallest things as even having your mates texting being like, hey, mate, I saw you on TV today. Like, it really makes you feel warm on the inside. And like, you know that people are there supporting you and vouching for you every day.
Yeah, and with that comes with microphones shoved in your face. It comes with a public profile on Instagram. It comes with being on the Big Bash and maybe idols and commentators talking about you. And how does that make you feel? How have you coped with that?
I think I've been told by a lot of people to stay away from the Instagram comments.
Right,
that was a big thing.
Are you a troll?
No,
Are you opinionated?
I do like to
chime in
to try and reply to the comments, but my agent has told me to not do that. It's not good publicity, Marcus. So I've stayed away.
So you've heard that a bit. It's not good publicity, Marcus, huh?
Not good publicity to get in the comments and get into a comment war with someone who.
Are you a little bit argumentative?
I can be, yeah.
Is that the competitiveness or argumentativeness or both, or is it separate?
I think it's the competitiveness.
Yeah, like saying if someone says something like, "Oh, mate, you bowled ordinary," you'd be like, "No, that's okay, but you should get out there yourself and try it or
Get out
something."
there yourself, or meet me at these nets at this time.
I'll come off the long run.
Show you how ordinary I am.
Yeah. So, yeah, apart from that, is it, it's a bit overwhelming, but it's life as a professional cricketer now is the attention, is the fame, and also playing at, world-class historic grounds such as the MCG. Do you want to talk about that experience?
Yeah, it was actually my first ever time going to the MCG.
Ever?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, but as a cricket, I've been a couple of times, but yeah, incredible into an AFL grand final, which is unbelievable as well. But first time ever, walking in, what do you think?
I was gobsmacked, like seeing you go in, you got basement level, and I'm seeing mezzanine level. I'm like, what's a mezzanine level? Never heard of one of these before. And
what do they call it in the US when you sit at the back? Is it the bleachers or whatever it is? You're like, you can't see. You sort of like you have to get the binoculars out.
I think it is the bleachers.
Bleachers,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I've walked up the aisle to get up to the stadium, and it's towering above you. Like, what does it hold? 100?
Oh, yeah, 100. I think the AFL grand final that I went to in 23 was 100,030 something,
Yeah, like over 100,000 people. And it's just a spectacle, like probably easily the best stadium we've got in Australia. And yeah, I got there and I was just overwhelmed. I know the change rooms, there was about 5 different physio change rooms, eating area. We all got our own little spaces. I could probably spread out my kit bag in here. I had this whole area to myself. Like, it was awesome experience. And then to play there was just icing on the cake. And getting out Marcus Stoinis was pretty special. The only other player in the
retired
league
from his ODI now. You're basically knocking people out.
Has he retired from
One Day Internationals?
Yeah, wow.
Yesterday, yeah.
So 50 overs too long for people now.
Yeah. Basically, it's a shorter form. I mean, that's actually quite a good point, because it is the game is changing. Mm-hmm. How have you gone about playing youth cricket? In a landscape where there's a huge amount of money, and we've had Peter Pascalou on the podcast before talking about his schedule of T20-ness around the world and the professional 2020 eras versus the baggy green, versus playing shield cricket, versus playing grade cricket. How have you gone about it?
Kept it really simple. I love white ball cricket, but my dream is to get a baggy green. Always been, always will be. I think, speaking with my agent, I'm trying to stay away from all the franchises for now and just focus on shield cricket coming up next season, and focusing on the process and the steps that go about there. Obviously, later in my career, I'll start to think about those franchise leagues, because obviously money's good there, I've heard. But no, it's my goal in life to hopefully get a baggy green, and that's where I'm going to focus my cricket on, red ball mostly. Obviously with the Big Bash as well.
Yep.
Who doesn't want to play Big Bash?
Yes.
But no, yeah, it's always been red ball, and it's always been my dreams to play for Australia.
And even in the last series obviously recaptured an audience for Australia versus India, but then, Test cricket in its own right is probably slightly declining in terms of crowd and the length of and this modern instant gratification that we all want in terms of shortening things. Where's that dream of playing the baggy green come from? Is that from watching TV early on as a kid? Is it from like seeing the experience that these Test players go through versus someone that goes to India and makes a lot of money and that's it?
I know my dad likes to talk about it's the purest form of cricket. But no, it probably stems from being a kid and going every year to the Gabba, sitting there quite close to the 4X gold section.
Yep.
I don't know what it's called specifically, but I remember one year we had versing India, and it was Christmas, and there was a song that went, someone was like, Shama 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 Shamilian.
Yeah.
And then there was the 12 Days of Christmas, but it was a cricket edition, and they sung it so perfectly. And I was like, for me to be out there and play and have people singing, having fun over there for 8 hours, like, I know it's a big effort for fans to be out there, but I've always loved it. Even if you just chuck the earpiece in, you can listen to the commentators.
The Sound of Summer, Jim Maxwell. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, it's awesome. I love everything about Test cricket. I know it can be long. Even my girlfriend, she struggles to watch the T20.
Yep.
So she's going to have a rude awakening.
She struggles to watch the T20. Yep. It's a bit long, is it?
It's a bit long. She said, "Why can't you play the T10?"
And when you start talking follow-ons, she's like, "Is that what now?"
Yeah, no, follow on. I tried to explain to her that we only won the first innings last weekend.
Right.
So we've still got another weekend to go, and she got lost there.
Yeah, and people go, "Are you guys winning?" And you're like, "Well, we don't really know yet."
Don't know yet.
Yeah, we're halfway through the game, or even one of my mates went to the Gabba a couple of years ago. He's like, it was the first session. He's like, "Oh, right. So who's winning?" I'm like, "Oh, it's the first session." He's like, "But it's someone's ahead." And I'm like, "Well, it's 1 for 50. I don't know."
It's too early to tell.
Too early to tell. 2 for 50 or something is a bit even. But yeah, and the love of watching sport. Do you still watch cricket, even though you play cricket?
Yeah, I definitely watch cricket. Not as much as I would like. I'm still sort of trying to get into that mode of watching it to study players instead of watching it for the enjoyment. Quite hard to do at home. My dad's a bit of a fanatic when it comes to it, and he's most of the time just screaming at the TV.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to have to start switching modes, watching cricket. I think might tuck myself away to my room with a notebook and a computer and start analysing players and stuff, because it's a huge part of the game, analysing and figuring out people's weaknesses and stuff like that.
Are you a bit of a data guy or not really? Sort of high level?
Not really.
You're like, I'll just bowl and I'll get wickets, and if I get wickets, if I don't get wickets, or if I don't bowl well, I sort of analyse myself to say why, as opposed to a computer telling you some data. Is that right?
Yeah, growing up, it was Mitch Starc and Mitch Johnson for me.
Yep.
And I just saw them, especially Mitch Johnson. I saw all he did was he'd bowl, he'd get hit for a boundary, and suddenly he'd bowl faster. Get hit for a boundary, he'd bowl faster.
30 odd wickets in the Ashes series.
Bowl a few bounces at a few people's heads, and that's where I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Like you're either getting wickets or you're scaring people.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I pictured and sort of imaged my game growing up.
And then with the professional age comes nutrition, comes sleep, comes off-field behaviour, comes discipline, comes training, weights, etc. The life of a professional athlete. Are you excited to become a professional athlete? Do you want to become a professional cricketer?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's a bit better than working at Woolies. I was working at Woolies last year. So definitely this lifestyle, although as much of a privilege it is, I'm definitely looking forward to it and very excited. It was a big shift moving down to Hobart and seeing the schedule, but once you settle in, it's just another day in the office, I guess.
Yep. And you've just turned 21. Had your birthday. What did you get up to for your birthday?
A few tinnies in the sheds after the game. It was game day for us. Went out and had a nice breakfast with my brother who was down there supporting, and got a haircut, dyed my hair.
Oh, is that the day you dyed? Have you always peroxide blonde, or is that just a thing that you just wanted to do?
It was a 2025 thing, I think. Although I stand out a little bit, I thought, why not stand out a little bit more?
And speaking of 2025, a big year ahead in cricket, full stop. And what's the aspirations? What's the plan? What's on the horizon for Marcus Bean in 2025?
A few things. Looking to hopefully make my Shield debut later this year. Can't say who for yet, but
come on. This podcast is about getting exclusive gossip, and you're not giving it to me. Right, that we will end it now. No, a Shield debut would be.
Shield debut is probably the next step that I've got my sights set on. Looking to get back in the Big Bash program as well. I think that's looking to be a go, but we'll see over the next few weeks. And then, getting ready for all things cricket, pretty much.
And I've noticed you'd been overseas. You played cricket overseas before in England. Is that something that's you want to talk about that, and maybe something in the future as well?
Yeah, definitely in the future. I'm a dual citizen, obviously with my dad being English, got a British passport. So I think last year when I hadn't obviously gotten the Big Bash opportunity, was sort of had it on the cards where if cricket wasn't working out over the next 2-3 years, I could have potentially moved over to England and gave it a shot over there, which I'm glad I didn't have to do. because I don't want to have to really play for the Pommies, do we?
Well, you're much more. You got a 95% Australian accent. You got a 5% twang. I reckon. Do people say that?
I can put on a twang
when
I want to. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I did play. I played in 2023 for a little club called Clayton West. It was a
sounds like a law firm.
No, quite far from it. It was just plopped on a little farm estate in the heart of Yorkshire. It was not the highest standard of cricket, but it was definitely a great group of people. And playing over there and getting a little taste of cricket and obviously getting paid for it was all the merrier.
Yeah, well, we've sort of people look back at Steve Smith's era over there when he was 17 or 18 and how it sort of changed his trajectory a little bit in terms of meeting the people and playing in different pitches, etc. Marcus, I'm conscious that you are 21 at the start of your professional journey, but outside of cricket, have you got any secret hobbies or things that interest you that potentially maybe just 15 years down the track you sort of apply yourself to it?
I'm currently enrolled in exercise physiology at QUT. Just finished my first year, so I'm looking to keep that going. I know it's a big thing. I come from a education-heavy background with my family. My brother's just graduated, become a teacher. My dad was a teacher for 22 years, and my mum is a lead vet in Australia. She works with medicinal supplements for animals of all sorts. So it was definitely a huge part to always have a plan B, something to fall back on. And I love physiology, love being able to work with the body, know how it works. It integrates perfectly with cricket.
Particularly as a 210 plus centimetre opening fast bowler.
Mm-hmm. So knowing when you get off game day and you feel a niggle here and a niggle there, you know exactly what it is, or at least you know.
You know what? At 43, area. You'll feel niggles everywhere all the time,
exactly.
With lower back pain. And I'm just seeing an exercise physiologist at the moment, and it's been a breath of fresh air in terms of the program and making sure that your core muscles are a little strong. Because mine are not so strong. And what do you do? Do you do Pilates? Do you yoga? Do you some strength work?
I work at I work with an exercise physiologist at the Gabba, and it's only once a week, but we just constantly work on just making sure that the body's moving well, posture's right.
Might be the same one, mate. QSMC?
No.
Oh, okay.
I do see QSMC though for the physio.
Okay, who's your physio there?
It's a new fella. He's young.
James.
Is it James?
Yeah.
Is he young?
Yeah.
No,
he's my physio too.
Is he?
Shout out to James.
Yeah.
I've seen Shane and Rob and James and the crew. Yeah. Yeah, good. They're at the Gabba.
Yep.
Yeah. Now they're helping me with my middle-age problems. Marcus, I'm going to throw some characteristic traits at you, and you can say whether you're that person or not. I'm keen to gauge the brain and how it works. Confidence. Are you a confident person?
Yeah, definitely a confident person.
And competitive, obviously.
Very competitive.
Too competitive? What about do you social backyard Scrabble, playing board games? You always want to win?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely too competitive. If you ask my nanny growing up, she'd had a thing called temper tantrums and marky meltdowns.
Right,
I was famous for.
Yep.
Yeah, do not get me playing Monopoly. I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate Monopoly. But very, very competitive.
It's a good life lesson, Monopoly, isn't it? About the property owners and all that sort of stuff, paying the rent and things at the moment. It's more relevant than ever.
I thought it was just a game of stupid luck.
So, yeah, competitive, playing cards. Yeah, don't want to lose. Always
don't
want to
lose. Always want to win. Yeah.
What about confidence, mate? You a confident person?
Yeah, I think being so tall, I get a lot of...
Did I just ask that before? No, I didn't.
Confidence?
Yeah, no.
No.
What did I say? Competitiveness?
Competitive.
What was the first one?
What competitive was the first one?
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Eh?
Here we go.
Starting to lose my train of thought in my early to mid-40s. Yeah.
Yeah, confidence is something I've had to have, being so tall. You get asked all the time, you're a professional basketball player, you're a basketball player. So talking to strangers is something I've had to do from an early age. And you're
working on it. Yeah.
Still working on it. You get asked the same old, like, what's the weather up there? So I'm trying to learn a few good comebacks
Have you got it? You need to get it rolling off the tongue to make it friendly, but also funny. People go,
it is friendly and funny. See, I don't know if you know Wilt Chamberlain's famous quote, but
no.
Don't think I can be saying what he said. Someone asked him in an elevator, "What's the weather up there?" And he spat on them and said it's raining.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's not me.
That's 30 years ago. Maybe you can get away with that.
And it is Wilt Chamberlain. I don't think anyone want to be messing with Big Wilt.
Yeah. Do you get nervous?
Yeah, definitely get nervous. I think it's tough. Like, sometimes I can be a bit of an introvert. Sometimes I do like my own little space, and sometimes I think it's, especially now, it's going to be harder and harder to get that. But I think sometimes you just got to appreciate that people are there out of genuine interest. So try and shy away and stay away from seeing it as animosity towards me, and just saying, hey, look, this bloke just wants a photo. He just wants to say hi. It takes nothing out of my day, and it costs nothing to be nice to people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The manners and courteousness, and it doesn't take much time, and from the brain point of view as well. I'm also conscious to think whether you're, obviously being a professional, moving towards being a professional cricketer, getting the head right, getting upstairs right, making sure that you're fit for the game and you're feeling good. It's a very topical area in sport. What are you doing in terms of making sure that you're on top of your own game, mentally wise as well as physically wise?
I think for me, mentally, I've always found it pretty easy. Try not to get in my head too much. From the big bash terms, I know game day or prior to would just get a nice bite to eat somewhere quiet, sit in my room, watch a bit of South Park.
Yep.
Be in bed by 10:30. Wake up game day. It's always massage 5 or 6 hours before the game. Get the body feeling right. Maybe go have a nice little eggs Benny.
Yep.
Down at a little cafe.
Is that your little breakfast of choice, the old Eggs Benedict?
Definitely got addicted to the eggs Benny.
Have you got a blog going that you sort of keep a score of the ratings of where these restaurants are? Like, is there
might have to. Not yet, but definitely might have to.
You got a place in Melbourne yet? Surely there's a good place in Melbourne that does a good Eggs Benedict. There's one I can't remember the name of. It's anyway, I love it every time I go there.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite restaurant in Brisbane?
What's the steak place in Gabba? The world's
The
worst.
Norman.
The Norman.
The Norman?
I like a Norman steak.
Before game day.
Maybe after game day.
Yep.
But yeah, that, and there's a local pizzeria for me called 1760s. Love Italian food. I'm actually going there later in the year to see my girlfriend compete in the World Cup. She does aerial skiing for Australia. Shout out Elise.
Wow.
Yeah. So
she could come on the podcast.
She could, yeah, definitely could. She's taken the aerial skiing world by storm and hoping to qualify for Italy next year for the Winter Olympics. So good on her.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, you're only 21, but there's kids playing sport out there. There's kids that potentially want to be professional athletes. There's also kids that want to just play sport for fun. What's some advice that you'd give to those kids out there that are having fun right now, but maybe there is the fame and fortune of professional sport down the track?
First and foremost, have fun. I see a lot of people who fall out of love with the sport. Don't listen to your parents too much, especially if your parents are trying to push you too much. Do what you're passionate about. Do what you love. And work hard. Work hard. If you want to do it, I know not to say don't throw all your eggs in one basket, but it's never too much to give it a good red hot crack. You only live once. And believe. If you don't have self-belief, you're never going to make it at this level. You got to believe that what you're doing and that you have the skills to make it the next level. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, believe is a huge thing. Having self-confidence, finding good coaches is huge. But for the kids, I guess all I can say is, just believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, and don't let people tell you can't. Because I know I had that growing up with a lot of sports, and just to push over that little boundary, no matter how big or small the hurdle is, if you work hard, you can definitely get over it.
Marcus, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on the Scoreboard podcast, and congratulations on doing your first live podcast. And I'm grateful for you to come and take your time. All the best for 2025, and maybe that secret move of playing Shield cricket somewhere and making your debut in Shield, and then hopefully, at the back end of the tail, maybe the BBL again in the coming years. Congratulations on your achievements thus far, and looking forward to following your progress.
Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure, and hopefully a good podcast.